let's get it. Bags are off. We've got the bike on a stand. We've done our normal strap the bike up to the beam, just in case, because we're going to be pulling wheels and stuff off. So, hey ho, we don't want anything falling off. So we're going to tear into this. We're going to get the back wheel off, get the front wheel off. We don't need any of that, and probably get the pipe off, because let's face it, we're not going anywhere whilst it's in this state, and we have a pipe on the way. So first thing I want to do is I've put a lot of PSI into these rear shocks to get them to work and be able to have a bit of a play, and they've wanted to drain the air out before we go and take them apart. Didn't want them going bang, so we'll strip those plastics off the side, really get down to the bones of her and get it looking good. So without further ado, let's turn to the wheels. We'll get the bearings knocked out of that one and the rotors off and those off, because these are being dropped off to powder coating tomorrow morning, so need doing straight away. So let's get to it. Cue the time lapse. Guys, grease your rear axles. I cannot stress how hard that was to get out. That was unbelievable, unnecessarily hard. We had to get a brass drift, big hammer. That was not coming out. Just put some grease on your axles when you put them back in. It's, to be fair, it's probably never been apart. I think it's fairly stock rear tyre. But yeah, she was in there, but we got it done. So, onto the front. Front one was as stubborn as the back one. Again, grease your axles, people. Brake calipers were also pretty seized onto the discs, so I think we're going to be in a lot better position with all the new stuff, just in general with the riding. So old exhaust is off as well, so that's all off. Luckily we didn't snap a stud, which is always the fear, so that's good. We're ready for the new exhaust when that arrives. If anyone needs a bagger early touring model performance exhaust, not sure what brand it is, but it's a nice little black number, as well as the front wheel, and a whole 41mm front end setup, forks, risers, bars, the lot, along with the Showa rear air shocks, which are all functional and available as well. So drop me a message in this video if you need any of that stuff. Stock seat will be there as well. Anyway, right, let's crack on with it. So next job, let's get these wheels stripped down and the rear wheel stripped down, ready to go off the powder coat. Let's get it done. Wheels are stripped, they're in the car. They're getting a nice taxi ride in this, because we are going to a show tomorrow morning. I want to do something clean and tidy, so kind of excited to build the front fork legs. So let's do that. Got everything here I need, array of tools. I'll go through them as we go through it. So we'll get the tubes and forks built up for the front, ready. Then we'll get the front of the bike ready to put the trees on. So first things first, let's glove up, because we want to keep this as clean as possible as we go through. New stuff, so let's keep it looking new. So we're going to start with the cartridge. Get this out. We're going to need a cartridge. We're going to need a fork leg. We're going to keep the actual leg there for the second. We're going to get a lower out of the nice velvet bag. Ooh. These are handy. These are actually going to be really handy for the rears. We can put the reservoir in the bag until we've mounted them, so they don't scratch everything and bang around. It's a good idea. And there you go, geezer glide. That's something else you can use them for, promote. So first things first, as you can see in here, there's little bits of powder coat around the edge. We're going to clean that up. You might say, well, why didn't they do it? But to get them to hand clean every one of these up, it would end up adding a load of value to the cost of the product. You'd have to pay for that. So 10 minutes for you to run over them, it's not a big deal. So what we'll do, we'll clean that up. So I use a scalpel blade, and I carefully go around the inside of the fork tube with a scalpel blade vertical, so you're not taking material away and gouging it in. You just want to vertically scrape round and get rid of those little bits of powder coat that have gone down inside the leg. So we'll do that now. We'll just scrape that off so that there's no powder coat sitting past the aluminium recess that the seals go into. I'll probably do it when they're built up, but you can also go around and clean off the surfaces for stuff like your brake bosses. So where your brake calipers bolt onto here, they have masked them off, but there's a little bit of shmoo around them you can take off to get those perfectly flush, ready to receive the caliper. So we'll go around and do that as well once these are built up. But for the minute, I'm just going to scrape any of this surface powder coat, get them looking fresh and so clean. Obviously you don't want to take any material away because you want the seal to seal, but that's nice. They're done all the way around now. You can see that. So I'm going to grab the compressed air and blow this out. The key to this is keeping everything clean. Sorry for blowing your eardrums out. So that's that one done. Ready to go. So onto the cartridge. So this cartridge, you have to set for your weight. So on the Geezer Glide website, there is and we'll put a little link down here on the video to all of that. There's a table in the instructions that says where you need to be. So up to 300 pounds is on here. I think it's 2.5 on the scales. So if we could just quickly have a look, just verify this. On the Geezer Glide website, you've got all the instructions. You can bring them up. So we go to cartridges, install guide. Here you go. So we've got standard duty springs. 2.25 is up to 300 pounds. So I have set them, or I'm going to set them to 2.25. So I'm about 245 pounds, UK about 105 kilos. But by the time I've got gear on and riding a bit aggressively, that's where we want to be. So one turn of the end is 1/4. So we need to do 9 turns to get to where we need to be. So let's lock that up. There's that table again for you if you can see. Let's use the tools provided, which is really good. The Geezer Glide kit comes with the tools, the C-spanners for both these and the rears. So we're going to set this down here and not drop the spring. So we're going to undo these 2 locking nuts here. There you go, so they're locked off. And in the instructions it says to hold the bottom collar as you wind this out. So that's 1 full turn. That's 2 full turns. That's 3 full turns. That's 4 full turns. Now to confirm this, we should be on 1, which we are. So that's fine. Another one. Another one. One more. Another one. And we want to do, so that was 8, so that should be on level 2, which again we are, and we're going to do 1 full turn again to take us to where we want to be. Should be about 1.25 or 2.25 on our scale, which is perfect for our weight. So now we'll lock these back up with the C-spanners. So you want to hold this one in place so you don't change your settings. Get your C-spanners on there. Hit them up nice and tight. Job done. C-spanners back down here out the way. Right, Next, you want your cartridge, your fork leg, and you're going to put your cartridge through it, and then put your top out springs. So top out spring goes onto the cartridge, make sure that's in place. Then you're going to slide this down through carefully. And then that should poke out the end like that. That's what you want. Then we're going to start getting all our seals and bits. So you've got a dust seal, you've got the actual fork leg seal, you've got your 2 slider bushes, you've got a bolt to go in the bottom of the fork leg, a washer to go in the bottom of the fork leg, the big seal washer, which is a big metal washer that has a rounded edge and a square edge, and your retaining clip, which looks like that. You're also going to need a 49mm fork seal driver for this. We didn't have one, but we did have a lathe, so fortunately we were able to make one out of a bit of aluminium tube. We're going to put the wider of the 2 bushes goes on the bottom. Just, it's got a split in it, so it helps you spread it and put it over. That's perfect. Then you're going to slide this ring on first, with the rounded side facing towards the top of the fork. So that's on. You got the rounded side, yeah. Then we're going to put this next guide on. That goes further up the leg, so that's all that in place. So the next thing we need to do is slide this whole lot down into the fork leg, so we can put the bolt, the retaining bolt, in the end of the fork leg. Now, to be able to make it a bit easier to get to, it's worth taking this lower clamp off. You can't do this on the other one, but you can do it on this one. There is just a bit of tape they put on here to keep everything together, which is a nice little touch. Everything's all held together for you, so just need to peel that off. Good strong American tape, that's not coming off, so we'll just split it, slide it off. So that's all your parts. So we're going to get ourselves some 10 weight fork oil, and we're just going to run some round everything, so you're putting it together with a little bit of schmoo round it all, so that it's not going in dry. Just want to get that bit on your finger, run it down inside there, in where the seals are going to go, down inside the fork leg itself. Just get a good helping on there, just so you're not sending anything down into the fork leg dry. Cool. A bit of a cloth. Right, don't forget now your oil seal ring. So this goes on the bottom of the cartridge. So once you've placed it through the leg, that goes on the bottom, and then this all pushes down inside nicely. You can push the end of the cartridge, then you know you've made it all the way to the bottom. And you should be able to see it's made it all the way to the bottom in there, so you're able to get your brass washer and your bolt in the bottom. We're just going to use a little bit of pipe dope as well on the thread, just to make sure it's properly sealed. So right at the bottom, you don't want this going into your fork leg, because you don't want to get stuff in all the valve holes and bits and bobs in the cartridges. Not that you would on these actually, because they're fully sealed, but it's just good practice to do what you do in any circumstance. Just got a little bit of sealant on it. Thread that into the bottom. You need a fairly large Allen key for this, or hex. I'm going to wind that in. We're just going to pinch that up for the minute, just so that the oil doesn't leak out. Because you won't be able to ream it right up, because the cartridge is going to try and spin on you. Once this is all assembled, you can torque it to correct torque. Right, and I felt that cartridge pull down then, so we know we've sort of located. That's crushed the washer, or started to, so that's not going to leak. So that's that bit done. Then we're on to building the fork legs. So for this, I'm going to slide this back on, because we need to stand the fork up. So slide this assembly back together. Put your bolts back on, or your nuts on the bottom. So we don't lose anything. Right, so on to the next part, the next phase. So, fork seal. We're going to put this together pretty carefully now. So you want to get your seal out. Which is this, and it goes this way down. So when you can see the spring in the seal, that goes down. So we're just going to, again, a little bit of oil, put around this seal, just for when you slide it over, you don't damage anything. So carefully over your top cap, carefully down onto your fork legs. Try not to damage the seal or pinch it in any way. We're going to push that all the way down. We're going to get our seal driver. Now, because it shouldn't be a problem, they are sold as aluminium seal drivers normally, or steel ones, so you shouldn't have an issue. But I just want to put a bit of paper around that so I don't damage the fork leg. The nice gold fork leg. I'm also going to run a bit of oil around the inside of the fork seal driver, just so I know it's going to glide up and down the leg nicely and not scratch the coating. Slide that down. Pull me paper out. Right. And you want to drive that seal down in it until the retaining clip recess is visible. Which it is. Then we're going to get a retaining clip. That goes in. Just make sure everything looks nice. That's down and in. That's all retained quite nicely now. Then we're going to get the dust seal. Again, just a little bit of oil around the edge of it. Slide that over. And you should be able to just brush your dust seal home like that. Perfect. That's built. Now slide this back down. Now we've got to put 275 millilitres of oil in. If you're not running plus 2 cartridges, plus 2 fork legs, it's 250. So I've got a 50 millilitre syringe here. I'm going to draw up 50 ml at a time. We're going to carefully squeeze that down into the fork leg. And another one. Not another one. It's only a reference that British viewers might get. I'm from a place called Bristol, and there was an interview with a lovely old elderly lady, and in a very Bristolian accent she said, "Not another one," to an interviewer about election, I think it was.
Not another one?
And it went viral on the internet. Bristolian people have quite a strong accent. So keep account of what you're doing. So this is our 4th one. So that's 200mm. I'm going to get another one of these. That's 250. So that is where you'd stop if you had normal length legs, not +2s. Now we need 25mm because we've got +2s. Just trying to get the last bit out of this bottle, which is going to be interesting. There we go. So take that down, 25, last bit, and done. So that's oiled up. So give that a bit of a clean up because we got a bit of oil everywhere. Now to put the leg into the fork and do it up. So you've actually got to push this down to try and make this marrying the thread in. So you need a 19mm socket, hex 19mm. Get the fork down on the floor so you can push down on top. Get your hex, push down and pull up at the same time. That's it, thread started. Wind it in. So, make sure the O-ring's going in nicely. Now, you're not going to be able to do this up mega tight because oily hand, round, really slick tube, big spanner, big ratchet. But that's tight enough for the moment until we get them into the triple trees. Then we can nip them up. So, now that's done, it does suggest in the instructions to just cycle the fork leg up and down a bit. Like so. Turn it upside down and then just run your ratchet back on that bottom nut again to get a bit more on it. And you might be able to, which we can't because we've done it solid. So that's perfect. Right, so on when you're sat on the bike, I believe it's the right leg, there's an extra step that is not on the left leg, and that is to put in this thread for the hidden for the hidden axle, sorry. So if we jump over to the plans online, it says about putting this in. Now, fork slider kit. So it says, use medium strength thread locker on the threads of the sleeve and thread it in by hand. Once completely sealed, torque to 100 foot-pounds. Do not over-tighten this damage maker. So we need to use medium strength thread locker on this, and we need to thread this into this lower fork leg. So you can't do this beforehand, before building the fork, so don't make that mistake, because you won't be able to access the bolt in the bottom of the fork leg that you need to do up for your fork lower, because it covers the hole. So this actually, as you can see, threads into here, and if you thread that all the way in, you'll cover the access hole. So what I'm just going to do is we'll just do what they said before. We're just going to cycle this fork one more time, be 100% sure that that bottom bolt is tight, because we won't be able to get to this again. And to be fair, we got a few more turns on it, so that's probably worth it. We're going to get some medium strength thread locker, some blue Loctite, And just smooth a little bit down the sill. It's quite a big thread this, so you can put a little bit down both sides around the threads. And we're going to thread that into that leg. And it should thread in pretty nicely by hand if everything is correct. I think we might have a bit of powder coat around that top thread. We have, so we're just going to clean that up. I've got a little deburr tool here, which will help. Just take off the powder coat from that top thread, give us a bit of a better ability to thread in nicely. Blow that all out. So we should be able to thread this in. Yeah, that started right. Let's get ourselves a socket. There we go. And a ratchet. There we go. So those threads are cleaned out. That's winding in. Big old wobbly ratchet there. Nice and easily. Get them in there. Oh, our make. Probably should have threaded it in by hand. No need for the ratchet. All the way to the bottom. And then we'll get a torque wrench and do this up to 100 foot-pounds, which is quite a lot, but then it is holding the axle bolt in, so, or the axle itself in, because it's a hidden axle. Flying in. Seated all the way in the bottom. And we get ourselves a torque wrench. Go to 100 foot-pounds. Siri, what is 100 foot-pounds in Newton meters? 136 Newton meters. So that's all in and torqued up. 100 foot-pound. My digital torque wrench doesn't seem to be working, so we reverted back to good old analog torque wrench. But yeah, that's in, done. So that is the fork legs done. Right, we're going to get into tearing down the front of the bike. So, I've taken the safety straps out of the way for a minute because we're here and the bike's relatively low now and got not a lot of weight on it now. Things are coming off. All the weight sat over the engine, so it's perfect. So we're going to tear all the controls off, clocks off, bars off, and start getting the trees and yokes off, forks out, old calipers and lines off. Yeah, and get this thing completely apart. I will check back in once we are fully cleared. We can get to wiring the new bars up and getting the trees in, so let's go for it. So, as you'll see from the time lapse, we got to a certain point and then stopped. But the front end's torn down. We are ready to roll. Nightmare of a job. That is a lot to strip off for these baggers. So, yeah, that's a lesson to myself. If there's anything that needs to be done whilst I'm in here, do it, because it's a fairly large job. But we're stripped. All this is cleaned back, so we got to now get these race bearings out, get this trimmed up for the next part of the install, which is the plate that goes round here for the Geezer Glide front end conversion kit. We'll get all of the Geezer Glide stuff mounted up on there and probably move on to shocks in another video. So we're going to leave it here for now, I think, and then yeah, next video we will start looking at installing some parts. I know this has been a fairly long one with the fork build and the general rundown on what the bike's going to be, so thank you for sticking around. And also, if you can, keep liking and sharing these videos. Even if you just like them, it makes a massive difference. We fluctuate loads on views, but on the videos we get sort of a couple of thousand views on, we only get 2 or 3 likes. So if you could, I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, stay tuned for the rest of the bag build, but it started. See you later, guys. Cheers.